Well, next, with the interviews for candidates standing in the House of Keys general election in September, is Mr. Geoffrey Boot for Glenfaba and Peel. Okay, there's a lot of people coming out at the moment here, but this is interesting. You've now done how long exactly?
Well, will be a full 5 years. Prior to that, a by-election, and I did about a year.
Okay, it's been an interesting time, and you do stand out obviously from other people because you've been a minister. So we have to touch on that really. How do you think it's gone? I mean, you are quite often in the public eye, let's put it that way.
Well, I think always in the public eye. There's always something going on. It's been an interesting 5 years. It started with Brexit, and in fact that used a lot of time, and it only resolved itself at the beginning of this year when Brexit actually happened. We didn't know it was going to happen. We had to do all that preparation for it. 800 odd pieces of regulation I took through Tynwald, so that was a big effort, and the department did very well coping with that. Then we moved on to climate change with the announcement of the climate change emergency, and central to that, my department, I took through the climate change bill. I hope a pragmatic approach to where we're going with climate change.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of pressure from backbenchers and various people to go for targets that were frankly unrealistic, and when you asked how they were going to achieve net zero by 2030, it was not going to be practical, and so we went for what I call a good standard in looking around the world of 2050, but if we can do it earlier, so be it. Then of course COVID overtook us, and that has been a real roller coaster. I think in general terms we've done reasonably well as a government and a community in coping with it.
I'm interested in you because obviously we talk about you. Do you think you've handled it to the best of your abilities?
In terms of being a minister or the COVID crisis? In terms of being a minister, I've always done my best. I speak with candour and I'm transparent with my staff. I think we've achieved a lot. I looked through the list the other day because we'd had a review, an end of term review, and I think we've moved something like 100 different items of change that have made some quite big changes over that period.
So what are you standing on? What you go to the doorstep steps. What are you saying you're doing?
I stand on my record.
Yeah, you should give us that. But
performance going forward. I think as a community MHK, constituency MHK, I do my bit despite being a minister. I've kept in touch with regular newsletters. It's not hard. It's a matter of actually programming your life around what you need to do, and
it's a time balance, isn't it?
It's time. Well, I find that working an 80-hour week is quite helpful in that respect. But no, seriously, frequently on duty in the evening and early morning. But I don't mind doing that. It's part of the job, and I enjoy the interaction with constituents, solving problems, and helping people.
Okay, what are the big issues in Peel and Glenfaba?
Well, there's a number of things going on. I think in terms of general issues, people are worried about the economy, they're worried about where we're going with COVID. Housing comes up. I had a meeting the other night with some of the traders about obviously the economy in the trading sense and trying to reinvigorate Peel. We had the agricultural community. I've brought in some changes there, and I hope that that's going to help. The fishing community particularly have been very concerned. COVID's knocked their markets out, and Brexit hasn't helped. I've secured 5 tranches of support for them, and going forward I hope that we retain a vibrant fishing industry. Locally, obviously there are constituents issues all the time. They pop up here and there. One can't help but avoid the issue of the Corrin home, which was a sad blow to everyone. We tried our best.
Did you do enough on that one, do you think?
Well, we did what we could.
Yeah.
We were defeated by the trustees and the company itself that was running it in terms of where they are. If we'd have known earlier.
There's no nursing home in Peel, is that right now?
No, we've got Castleview, which is a private home.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
But this one,
this was one that offered respite care, and it was well thought of by the community, and a sad blow, to be honest.
Okay, so let's look away from just the local things to what do you want to do if you got back in next time? Have you got eye on particular things you want to see done?
Well, I would like to be part of the next administration. I come with some experience now. I've worked with Council of Ministers, and I would say that this Council of Ministers, from all accounts, has been one of the most collegiate for some time. Obviously, depending on who's Chief Minister next time, it'll determine the makeup of a council, but I would like to be part of that programme for government, forming the administration and moving forward. There's a lot of work to be done.
And without giving me the answer, I'll do whatever I'm asked to do, where would you like to be? Would you carry on with DEFRA, for instance?
Well, obviously, it will be in the gift of the next
what would you like?
I like DEFRA.
Right.
I enjoy it. I obviously come from an agricultural background, which helps in terms of having some synergy with the environment and agriculture, fisheries. Yes, so I like DEFRA. But that doesn't mean I'm there forever and a day. I'm also, the previous administration worked in DED, which is the Department for Enterprise now. An awful acronym, I know.
I can't believe you used that
but
one.
there we go, yeah. And I'm very interested in economic development and moving forward in that respect as well.
I mean, obviously, everything that everyone comes out with needs money, and we're living in a new world with potentially 15% as a minimum tax rate and that sort of thing. Are you got interest, and concern on that?
Well, I have some concerns because the economy is what gives us the cash to do all the good stuff we want in the health service, education, housing and everything else. So the economy is key to moving forward. And at the moment, we're still suffering from the after effects and maybe the forward effects of COVID. And we've done reasonably well economically as a result of that. We end this session, I think, with unemployment less than it was when we started, and that includes the COVID period. But we need economic growth. There are challenges out there in terms of zero tax and 010, but other territories are being grey listed. I won't name them specifically, but we are what I call a fairly clean, well thought of, well regulated jurisdiction, and with home working, as it were now, with remote Zoom and Teams, it's taught us a whole new way of working. And certainly I'm talking to people that will come to the island and run businesses here because they can be here and anywhere in the world at the same time. So there's going to be great opportunities there, I think, going forward.
You're not putting your hat in the ring to be Chief Minister, or will that be one of those things again, if you do what you have to do, sort of answers for
Well, I'm an ambitious politician.
You are ambitious.
Well,
good.
I'm where I am because I'm ambitious.
I like to hear people that say things directly.
Yes, yeah. I want to see change and drive things, but
well, that means you want to be in charge.
I need to get re-elected, Paul, and convince people that.
But you'd like to be. This is interesting. You're not saying no to the idea.
I wouldn't say no to the idea. No.
Would you put yourself forward, or would it be one of those things that we can't find anybody else sort of thing?
Paul, I need to get re-elected first, and I don't want to be arrogant about anything. And
I'm not sure it's being arrogant. I think people it's decisive, and maybe it's a good thing that people know where you stand on, where
I will assess the options and see who the other candidates are, or people.
So you're not saying no to this?
I wouldn't say no, Paul. No.
Right.
But I'm not saying yes.
Okay.
So there you are. I'm sitting on the fence. Typical politician.
No,
yes.
You give us more than other people have done by saying that you wouldn't say no if it came up. We're about to have the election of who's going to be the president, for instance. Have you got an opinion on that? Who you want? I mean, you're Coleman, so you've got your boy, basically. I'm going to guess here.
I can be honest with this. I favour Lawrence Skelly. I think he's a senior politician. He's been around a long time, and will bring the necessary experience and gravitas to the situation. That's not to say that Mr. Speaker is not also a good candidate, but I favour Lawrence.
And you've been inside that Coleman thing for the whole period, the 5 years. Is this going to help or detract, you think, from getting those votes?
Well, there are some people that say, oh, we've had 2 ministers in the constituency and we haven't been as representative or represented as we would have been with having backbenchers. Well, my answer to that is Mr. Harmer and myself have worked well together. We know where the levers of power are, and we can obviously help in situations. We don't always make a lot of noise. We get a lot of criticism, but a lot goes on behind the scenes, and I think most of the constituents that have raised issues with either of us have found us to be helpful, and not every time, but we try and solve the problems.
Okay. I mean, Peel Arena didn't exactly far along well, did it? I mean, getting it dredged and all this, that took forever to really get going.
Well, it's a problem, and DEFRA is regulatory in that respect. And certainly, I mean, I was having to look out for the fishing industry. We didn't want to contaminate our scallops and fisheries. So there were huge regulatory issues.
So you were pulled
that.
more by national than local issues on that particular thing?
Well, I wanted to get it dredged, and there was a momentum there. We got it dredged in the end with a solution that we all came to. But it's like Peel Sewage Works. My big commitment there. I really wanted to see that happen, but we were thwarted at the last moment, and we thought we were nearly there, but the inspector decided that the MUA hadn't done their due diligence in terms of other sites, etc. So thwarted. So going forward next time, the Northwest Plan will enable us to identify sites and have a specific site, and then there will be no question over other sites or availability. So I really want to see that driven forward. I introduced bathing water standards, and basically we've got the biggest bathing beach in the Isle of Man that won't meet those standards in terms of the 2006, although I have arranged for the beach to be monitored, and that information is available so people can make reasoned decisions.